Determined to defy fate, Ezima and Kim began exchanging secret glances and stolen moments under the ancient Udara tree that stood as a silent witness to countless love stories. It all began with Ezima's brazen attitude. In the ancient kingdom of Igbo, the air was thick with the scent of local spices, and vibrant colors of traditional attires and monuments painted the landscape. In this kingdom lived a princess named Ezima. She was the jewel of the kingdom, her beauty rivaled only by her compassionate heart. The king was very proud of his daughter, and the queen more so. The villagers bragged about their beautiful princess to all and sundry. It was said that the goddess of beauty, Olumiri, had gifted the royal family a seed of her lineage to show all that her beautiful presence would always be with the kingdom. Ezima's ebony skin and eyes sparkled like the midnight sky. This made her the epitome of beauty, grace, and regality. Yet, she longed for a love that transcended the boundaries of duty and tradition. Her heart yearned for a connection that went beyond the royal court. For this, the power of the god of love was stirred, and the charm was created. The pang drove Ezima's action. One day, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the palace, Ezima's gaze fell upon a young warrior named Nkem. Nkem was not just a warrior, but also of the family of the shapeshifters with the animal form of the leopard. He moved with the grace of a leopard, his every step resonating with a quiet strength and intrigued the princess. Nkem's chiseled features and eyes that held the wisdom of the ancient spirits ignited a flame within Ezima's heart, a flame that burned with the crackles of love. However, tradition dictated that Ezima marry a noble suitor from a neighboring kingdom to strengthen alliances. This has been the practice for ages. A long time ago, the two kingdoms had been at war. This war lasted so long that each kingdom wanted peace but did not know how to achieve it. Finally, the nobles of the two kingdoms gathered at the behest of their kings to negotiate. A wise man then suggested that the royal families intermarry. This should be an ageless practice, they all agreed. Whenever one kingdom looks at the other and wants war, they must remember that their children are also there, the wise man has said. Ezima knew this fully well. The pangs of love for Kim weighed heavily on her heart, but she could not imagine a life without the man who had unknowingly captured her heart. Determined to defy fate, Ezima and Kim began exchanging secret glances and stolen moments beneath the ancient Udara tree that stood as a silent witness to countless love stories. It all began with Ezima's brazen attitude. She began by taking a walk every evening, carefully taking the path Nkem used when returning from the farm. She always took her maidens with her, this threw her father the king off. She is with her maidens, he always said. If anything goes wrong, I will hear about it. To avoid questions about her choice of route, the princess carefully chose two other paths. One led through the village square, just beside the section where the young marriageable men gathered in the evening on Eke market days, a day men did not go to the farm. The second path passed right in front of Nkem's parents' compound, where she was sure to see Nkem preparing the game he brought home on Nkwo market days, the hunting days. On some occasions, she would stop Nkem on his path to ask unreasonable questions. Sometimes she went into Nkem's parents' compound to ask to buy the game their son killed for the day. When walking past the village square, she exchanged glances with Nkem. It was not long before Nkem realized that his heart skipped a beat and then beat faster each time he thought about Ezima. He began to long to see her every evening. Nkem made it a point to leave the farm on time to arrive at their meeting point under the Udara tree at sunset. He also worked harder to double the game he brought home so the princess could take one part and the other he would keep for his parents. Their love blossomed, hidden from the prying eyes of courtiers and advisors, protected by Nkem's parents, who with the eyes of elders had noticed the warmth and sweetness that Ezima and Nkem shared. The princess's maidens loved the sight and never told the king about it. In their defense they said, "Love is a good thing. We are to report anything that goes wrong, and nothing is wrong. The princess is happier and healthier." Other prying eyes around the village had noticed the relationship, and people began to whisper. As whispers of their forbidden love reached the ears of the kingdom, challenges arose. The royal court, bound by tradition, frowned upon Izima's defiance. They sought ways to put an end to their love. First, Izima was forbidden to go outside the palace. Then all the servants were made to swear on the altar of the gods that they would not bear messages between Izima and the man her heart beats for, Nkim. Bound by an oath sworn on their lives, Izima's maidens were unable to help her. The princess had no intention of causing them any harm. She knew the laws of the land too well. To console her, the maidens often told stories about what they heard about Nkem when they knew the princess could overhear them. They went about their duties around town and within the palace as usual. Izima never said a word to them, nor did she act like she heard their discussions. However, she always hoped that the gossip would continue. It was the only way she heard anything about her beloved Nkem. Months passed, and the council maintained their stand. They sent a man to the neighboring kingdom to inquire about the most eligible prince. Meanwhile, Nkem, undeterred by the obstacles, sought the counsel of the kingdom's wise elders, hoping to win their blessing. He met with many elders, but none could help. One day, he went to the village square in the evening as always, but did not sit with the young men his age. His heart was heavy. Ezima no longer walked past as usual. Lost in his thoughts, he sat on one of the huge tree trunks where the elders sat. That section was always reserved for the young men if they wanted to be in the company of the elders. James said nothing all evening, but listened intently as the elders talked. Little did he know that it was his chin that brought him to this seat on this day. Okereke, the oldest man in the village, had come to the village square that evening. It was always a rare occasion because Okereke was so old and could hardly walk without support. His sight was also very dim, and his hearing was not so sharp. However, his sense of smell was intact and his perception was ever sharp. He had the gift of discernment and was the only living soul in the entire Ekwekwe kingdom who knew the ancient laws and traditions fully. He made this outing to the village square as occasion allowed. His sole aim was to pass down the knowledge. He spoke, and the elders listened. And this evening, Game had the opportunity to be counted among those who sat to listen to Mazo Kereke. It was on this fateful evening that Game heard the story about King Mbozo, the monarch whose lineage ruled his people. Here he heard the reason for the intermarriage between the royal families of Ekwekwe and Uzurumba kingdoms. Although he saw reasons for the continuation of the tradition, his heart would not let Ezima go. He secretly prayed to Chukwu to help him. As he woke from his reverie prayer interchange, he heard one elder say, "The leopards?" and came sat up, wide awake. His people were known as the leopards. Whatever this was, it was worth knowing. Mazo Kerike nodded in the direction of the voice that asked the question. Yes, the leopards, he affirmed. The game was lost until another elder asked, "How can that be?" Mazo Kerike smiled and said, "That is the only bond that cannot be broken to uphold the intermarriage between the royals of the two kingdoms." He is still speaking about the alliance between the kingdoms, Nkem thought. But what have the leopards got to do with this? He could not piece it together. Nkem pinched himself as punishment for drifting in his mind. He could have heard the whole story. Shortly after that, Mazo Kirike stood to go home. One of the elders asked Nkem to take Mazo Kirike home as his grandson, who usually came to take him, was running late. Nkem stood, supporting the old man with his strong arms. They slowly made their way towards Mazo Kirike's house. Nkem thought it would be nice to make this slow walk less boring. Maybe he would learn something too. So he asked Mazo Kirike what bond the royal family of the land have with the leopards. Mazo Kirike smiled and said, "This pact was made by your forefather Agu with King Mbuzo, the father of Aloma, whose son is a king. It was King Mbuzo who made the pact with the Zurumba kingdom. Just before Aloma was born, the queen was on her way back to the village through the forest path. Bandits ambushed the royal carriage, led by fierce masters. In this scary and chaotic situation, the queen's water broke as she was pregnant. The baby was coming earlier than the midwives had predicted, and the guards were outnumbered 6 to 1 by the bandits. The queen prayed to the gods of the land to give her the strength of a leopard so that she may overcome the death threat before her and deliver her baby safely. She vowed that all females born in her lineage would remain in the service of the gods as leopard shapeshifters. The gods answered her prayer and she transformed into a leopard. Was she safe afterwards? Game asked. Yes, my son. The gods are really mighty, yet so kind. The cry of a leopard in labor and danger resonated in the village, and the people of the leopard clan ran at full speed into the forest, each changing form once he or she passed the tree by the forest entrance. Soon enough, the forest was swarmed, and the bandits and their masters were met. None escaped to tell the tale. The female leopard surrounded the leopard in labor and brought her and her baby to safety. That baby was King Aloma. King was short of words. Mazo Kirike continued. In thanksgiving to the gods for saving the son who was born to him in his old age, King Mbuzo vowed to the gods to keep the promise the queen made. Your forefathers, led by the clan chief Agu, were called to the palace, and the alliance was sealed. The chief priest made the necessary sacrifice, and from that day forward, although the leopards were not from the royal family, if a leopard and a royal wish to unite, the land honors it like an alliance of two nobles. Nkem could not believe what he just heard. Mazo Kirike could hear Nkem's heart throbbing. He smiled as he perceived what was in the young man's heart. At that point, they arrived at Mazo Kirike's compound and his grandsons came to help him. But before the old man went with his grandsons, he placed his hand on Kim's head and blessed him. In my lifetime, I have seen the leopard and the royal unite. May the gods bless this union. Now I can go in peace, he concluded. Kim simply bowed his head until the old man was gone. Then he turned and went home, half running, half walking. At that moment in his mind, a celestial event illuminated the night sky, marking the convergence of two souls destined to be together. He knew that destiny had smiled at him. King Owa and the elders, recognizing the rare bond between Ezima and Kim, bestowed their blessing upon the couple. Their wedding was a grand celebration that echoed through the ancient kingdom, and when the ancestors called the king home, Ezima and Nkem ruled the kingdom.